Good afternoon, everyone. Can I welcome you to the Planning, Regulatory and Licensing Committee meeting of Wednesday, the 29th of April. Before we start the agenda, I'll hand over to Geraint, who will read out the issue about webcasting.
Right. Please note that this meeting of the Planning, Regulatory and Licensing Committee will be recorded for subsequent broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. I request that all councillors and staff switch off their mobile phones. The whole of the meeting will be recorded. The public seating areas will be in view of the camera, and by entering the chamber and using the public seating area, members of the public are consented to being filmed and to possible use of those images and sound recordings as outlined above.
Thank you. If I take you back to the agenda, item 1, apologies for absence.
Yes, Chair, we've had apologies from Councillor Gareth Lewis.
And I've received apologies from Councillor Bill Smith. Any other apologies? No. If I can refer you to item 2, that's the declarations of interest, and refer you particularly to items A and B. Done. We then go to the open session. That's the planning recommendations and the recommendations. Item 3, that's P/15/0056. That's land to the rear east of Merthyr Leisure Village, and to consider a report of the Corporate Director, Place and Transformation, pages 1 to 12.
Thank you, Chair. This application relates to an area of land situated at the eastern edge of Rhedycar Leisure Village, to the rear of the Leisure Centre and View Cinema. The southern part of the site is allocated for residential development in the local development plan, and the northern part of the site falls within land allocated for leisure development. Committee may recall that outline planning permission for residential development at this site was granted as part of the overall master plan for the development of the leisure village in 2006. This permission expired in 2009. Outline planning permission is again sought for residential development of the site. All matters relating to access, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale have been reserved for future consideration. Whilst indicative details showing a potential scheme for 19 one-bedroom flats accommodated in 4 buildings has been submitted in support of the application, it is the principle of residential development at the site that is to be considered. No objections have been received as a result of the publicity exercise carried out. In relation to the consultation exercise, Welsh Water have raised an objection on the basis that their water mains require an 8-metre buffer zone either side to protect their structural integrity, and the indicative layout submitted shows one of the proposed buildings within this. Committee should, however, note that the proposed layout is indicative only, and the location of the buildings could be repositioned within the site to avoid the required buffer zone. No objections have been received from any other consultees. The planning consideration section of the report considers the merits of the application in detail, and the recommendation on page 8 is that planning permission is granted, subject to conditions.
Thank you. Any questions, members? Councillor Howard Bonnet.
Thank you, Chair. A bit confused. It says on the report it's outline planning looking for permission for. But in the report, and we are saying that once this outline is given, that they're allowed to start. They can start immediately from this permission. We'll usually outline it. Well, in the condition on where did mark it? The development shall begin either or before expiry of 5 years, so from the date of this permission, and that's on the condition 3. So I thought once outline is given, and then obviously you've got to discuss which way he's going to. I thought he would come back to committee and say whether the full permission is given.
Yeah, the application is for outline, you're right. The condition you're referring to is a standard outline condition, so that's the way it's worded. But yeah, before any development could commence, they'd need to submit reserved matters. And you know, they've reserved all matters in this instance, so access, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale. All of those details would need to be submitted before they could start works. But that's the standard wording of conditions.
Yeah, would that mean that it'll come back to committee and to, obviously, to judge on the alterations then to onto the final application?
Oops, sorry. We've actually got delegated powers to deal with reserve matters, but obviously committee reserve the right to call applications into committee.
Any other questions from members? Any comments from members? Yeah, Councillor Borough.
Thank you, Chair. Only one comment. It was nice to see Welsh Vote that actually giving a comment, whether it's negative or positive. It was nice to see him there.
Right. If there's no other comments, if not, can you? Can I have a member to move the recommendation, please? Alan Jones. We put you down. Sorry. Hold on a moment. We'll it'll glitch in the system. That's been moved. Is it a seconder? Councillor only goes with it. Been moved and seconded. That's carried. If I can take you to item 4, P/15/0072, 20 Dane Street, Merthyr, Tydfil, and that's to consider a report of the Corporate Director of Place and Transformation. That's pages 13 to 16, Julie.
To replace an existing single-storey extension. No objections were received as a result of the publicity and consultation exercise carried out. The proposed extensions are considered to be of an acceptable scale and design and would not have an unacceptable impact on the amenities of adjoining residents. As such, the proposed development is recommended for approval, subject to a condition.
Thank you. Any questions from members? No. Any comments from members? No? Could someone, you see the recommendation, which is on page 16, yeah, sorry, 16. Can one member move the... Councillor Mansbridge moved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Barrett is seconded. That's carried. Now move to item 5, and that's the land between Merthyr College, Cyfarthur Retail Park and Kirkhardy Health Park, and that's to consider a report of the Corporate Director, Place and Transformation, and that's pages 17 to 28, and Hugh Roberts is going to take this item.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is an application for a shared walkway and access route and associated works. There have been no objections as a result of the consultation exercise undertaken as a result of this application. As a result of the publicity exercise undertaken, 2 letters of representation have been received. The eagle-eyed amongst members will see that the report relates to 1 objection. We had a late objection from the surgery, which was included in the report. Unfortunately, the report refers to 1 letter, but it's 2 letters of objection we've received. As I said, the letters have been received from a resident of Woodland Walk and the practice manager of the Ponkai Medical Practice. In summary, the representations are mainly concerned about the increased use of the existing zigzagged close walkway, adjacent to Woodland Walk. Additional cars in the area resulting in more safety concerns, particularly as children play in the area. Leaving cars parked near Woodland Walk would result in antisocial behaviour and damage to vehicles. Increased use of footpaths would result in more rubbish for homeowners to clean up. Disruption to the daily activities of the surgery in terms of noise and disturbance and car park arrangements during construction, and the location of a fence in relation to the land owned by the surgery. Responses to each of these concerns are highlighted on pages 25 and 26 of this report. These concerns, many of which are not planning considerations, do not outweigh the strong policy presumption in favour of such a proposal. The proposal would not have an adverse impact on the character and appearance of the area, ecology, flooding, or the amenities of surrounding residents. As such, this proposal, which should encourage sustainable modes of transport through the provision of high-quality cycle and walking routes, should be encouraged. It links with other existing and permitted routes to enhance connectivity in and around Merthyr Tydfil. Given this, the application is recommended for approval, subject conditions highlighted on page 26 and 27 of the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Hugh. I just want clarification myself in the form of a question. Woodland Walk, is that very close by? It's Caipandeni. Right. I didn't recognise the name. Thank you. Any questions, members? No? Any comments from members? Councillor Howard Barrett?
Thank you, Chair. One comment I've got is a quite detailed description of the route, but I think the drawing is very poor. So, because it's a simple section drawing, I think we could have, sometimes what's the next one, we can have a bigger full-age page 4 drawing so we can understand and try and follow it better. That's all.
I think the nod is a pointless statement. You all right? We'll take that into account. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Mansbridge.
There is a bridle path along this, isn't there, already in existence? There is. And has there been any history of vandalism, or what did I say? Has there been any trouble or anything connected with this bridle path in the past?
Not that I'm aware of, Councillor Mansbridge, and if they were, it's not planning consideration. Obviously, it's a matter for the police to take upon any damage that's caused by any vehicles or property in those areas. So, and that's highlighted in the report, but not that I'm aware of. There may have been, but it's not come through the planning process to our attention.
Making the path better, upgrading it, really.
Absolutely. I mean, the path would be improved tenfold, really, in terms of both its servicing, its gradients, and the lighting in certain areas of it. Obviously, we want to try and encourage people to use the path and people with disabilities. It's designed for people with disabilities to use the path quite easily as well, both in terms of its servicing and its gradients.
Any other questions? Or any comments? Anyone? No comments? Could a member please move?
I propose the recommendation. We accept the recommendation, Chair.
It's been moved by Councillor Chaplin. Is a seconded Councillor Mansbridge. Thank you. Can you now please? That's carried. Thank you. We go to my agenda. The next item is item 6. That's P/15/004, Builders Yard and Premises, Elwyn Drive, Tunarodin. And that's to consider report of the Corporate Director, Place and Transformation. That's pages 29 to 38. Hugh Roberts will take us through this.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, this is an application for the erection, a full planning application for the erection of one pair of semi-detached dwellings. There have been no objections as a result of the consultation exercise undertaken, However, there have been 6 letters of objection that have been received as a result of the publicity exercise undertaken. In summary, these representations state that the boundaries should be retained to ensure privacy. The development will be overbearing and result in overlooking via side landing windows. There is Japanese knotweed on the site. The houses will spoil outlook from the properties in Elwyn Drive. The roof level of the houses should be reduced to minimise loss of light. The roofs should be hipped to minimise loss of light. The rear fence should be the same height as the existing boundary treatments in the area. Any outbuildings or trees should be controlled in terms of their height. Conditions should be imposed to reduce the impact on neighbours during the construction of the dwelling. Any damage caused during construction should be repaired by the owner. As highlighted in the report, the majority of these concerns could be overcome by imposing suitably worded conditions. For example, ensuring the first floor small landing windows are obscurely glazed to prevent overlooking. In terms of the views of the neighbouring residents, the main issues appear to be the overbearing impact and the potential loss of light from the proposed dwellings. Members will note that the report considers the overbearing impact and the loss of light issues and concludes that these issues and impacts are not sufficient enough to warrant a refusal of the permission. In arriving at this decision, some weight has been given to the removal of potentially unneighbourly activities from the existing use of the site. It should be noted that the existing builder's yard is not restricted in terms of its hours of operation or the height or type of any external storage that could take place at part of this site. As such, there could be, and indeed have been, noisy activities from the sites, storage of unsightly materials, and disturbance from the comings and goings of lorries and vans. A previous appeal has been dismissed at this site for the erection of 3 detached bungalows. However, this was clearly a different proposal to the one that we're considering today. The applicant has taken into consideration this appeal decision when planning the layout, orientation and design of the semi-detached dwellings. The proposal is therefore considered acceptable in terms of its impact on the character of the area, its effect on neighbouring residents and its impact on the highway safety and pedestrian safety. Given this, the application is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions highlighted on pages 36, 37 and 38. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. You've heard the officer's report. Hopefully you read it. Any questions, members? No? Well, can I ask clarification for the committee in relation to the access to the new development?
Yeah, if you have a look at the plan on page 28, 29, sorry, yeah, sorry. There are 2 accesses, potential accesses into the site. There's one to the east from the cul-de-sac road of Elwyn Drive. It doesn't actually access into the solid black boundary that's shown on the plan, but it does access, you can access the site from that side. There's also another access, which is, again, an adopted road. This one's to the rear of James Street, to the west of the site. And as you can see, there's an access, there's a gated access there at that side of the site. The proposal is to actually, if you can see that finger-like projection coming out of the solid black line, that area is proposed to be tarmac to increase access to the site and turning facilities, and then the 2 semi-detached dwellings would be accessed from the James Street site, which is the adopted lane to the rear of James Street. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Chaplin.
Thank you, Chair. I have some concerns about the presence of Japanese knotweed on this site. I do notice that in the conditions it's got to, before works commence, a scheme, but it takes 2 or 3 years to clear Japanese knotweed effectively, and I am concerned about what the proposed scheme is going to be.
Yeah, we can only ask for the scheme prior to commencement. We can't give them a date 2 days in advance of when they're going to commence development. But when the scheme comes in, we've got our landscape architect looks at all the schemes come in terms of Japanese knotweed, and verified by him. He looks at them, and if needs be, goes out on site to check it as well. So there is a process that we go through in terms of Japanese knotweed, and it's a standard process that we do on a lot of applications.
But I do have concerns that it takes 2 or 3 years to eradicate Japanese knotweed, and therefore there is a potential after it's built for damage due to Japanese knotweed. It's a most virulent plant.
No, you're quite correct, and we can only seek clarification and how the method of eradication is going to take place, and we will check up on whether that takes place during that process. But it's a standard condition that we put on numerous residential permissions, and it's checked, as I said, by the landscape architect. So and to a certain extent, the purchasers or the developers of the site need to do it because, as you quite rightly put forward, it is a nuisance plant that can cause a lot of damage to residential properties.
Thank you. Any other questions from members? No. Any comments from members? If not, could someone please on page 36? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Cosworthy's moved it.
I'll second.
Item 7, that's information reports. That's the delegated decision report list from the 1st to the 31st of March 2005. Item 8, other business. I have any other business as deemed urgent by the chair, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.